All right. Okay. Come on, pay attention, Sam. God damn it, Sam. So if we could just get a little shadow on the inside of this too, I think that'll really help sell the fabric even more. It feel like a real fabric. All right. Yes. Suit. Working on the vest. All right. So we have this shadow layer here. Then we have the pattern shadow there, which isn't really a shadow anymore. It's more of a height. And then we will make more layer. That will be the vest pattern shadow interior. Just to really be specific. And then we'll make a fill. In the fill, we add the anchor point. And in here, we add a filter for the bevel. There we go. And then we also seemingly add a filter here to invert our. Before I do that, I think I just need to adjust the distance more. No, we do need to invert. All right, filter, invert, bevel, somewhere right there. Then we duplicate this, put it up top, and set it to subtract. No, multiply. There we go. All right, so now we have this interior color, and we'll set this to overlay, and then adjust color to be a bit darker. Right around there. And let's set it to only color for right now. Maybe a little height, which we will decrease like that. Now everything's got this nice beveled look, and we can continue to adjust. Smooth it a bit. All right. Kind of subtle, but definitely worth doing. Look at that. Just that crisp detail. Then really looks like fabric being pinched. I quite like that. Okay. Now let's pull up the reference of the character. Okay. So I feel like we've got the suit pretty well made. We have this shadow layer, and I think we'll just want to add a little bit more shadow in a few other spots. We'll just go in here, maybe duplicate. No, we'll make a paint layer. No, we will duplicate this. Move it around a little bit. Just a little shadow there. Helps sell the indentation. And then I think we just want a little bit of shadow beneath the arms, or like right here. Actually, why don't we do this? We're going to bake the mesh maps. Just bake them really quick. That may work out quite nicely. Fingers crossed. Sometimes I keep this off because it interferes with what I'm trying to do. Um, it's sometimes just a little too strong. Yeah, actually, we're going to get rid of it still. Position we'll leave on. Thickness. Actually, let me undo that. Think about it just a little bit more. We got the ID, world space normal, leave on, normal, leave on. It's just the ambient occlusion we really want to disable because it's so overpowering and it kind of just affects a little too much. I think really the only place we want it that we haven't really added, I should say, implied, because that's basically what we're doing with all our shadow layers. We want it in the crotch, and that's pretty much it. Oh, and then of course in the creases. So that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to make one layer on top, and we'll call this the curve shadow. Save. And we want to do, set this just to color like all our other ones, like that, and then multiply, and then we'll do a mask, and then the mask, we add a fill, no, a generator. In the generator, we do a curvature. Aha. Okay, so we want to invert right off the bat, because this is where we want the shadows and these creases. This is exactly what I was hoping for, these creases, and then we'll tweak. Balance. I think the balance is fine. The blur would be really nice. Like that. We need to paint out this spot. Maybe send the balance the other way a little bit. And then just adjust the shadow itself to be a little lessened. Okay, then curvature, blur, we'll turn it down a little bit because I really wanted, this is what I wanted. I wanted those wrinkles right there. That's what I wanted. All right. Now we just want to paint it out in a few spots. Just right here, really. Actually, yeah, we can just be a little intense with it there. And a little bit there. Because we've kind of already made that shadow. But dang, that looks pretty good, I would say. All right, that really helps bring it out. Now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to do duplicate, and we'll call this curve highlights. And we'll set this to linear dodge add. And then, of course, curvature will invert because we want to hit the opposite spots. And just tweak the balance till bring it out a little ways and then blur it. Blur. That's not as enticing as I would have hoped. That looks better. Doesn't look great though, that's for sure. Um, it doesn't look super good in my opinion. Is there something else we can do to get that look? Light, position, world space. I don't think so. I think we'd have to paint that. But that is all right. It already looks pretty darn good. Let's delete this layer now. And we just have these shadows that we've made. Perfect. I think we will put a levels on it just to get rid of some of the little bit more contrast. Right about there. Okay. All right. So I've done that. Now we would like to create some seams in a few other spots. Excuse me. Um, on the shirt. So close that one, go to the shirt. We have the shirt shadow there, but if we created another layer, we called this shirt seams, added a mask, of course, but a white mask, and we will select everything here. Boom, boom, boom. Boom. It's everything for the shirt. Then we give it a filter, my favorite, the bevel filter, and we can go in and find the seams. I think that should work. Yeah, right there. Ah, that's because of that. Okay. Awesome. Just a little seam under the shirt. Probably could have put one on the top too. I think that looks good. I think we're done with the suit side of things. Oh, actually, let's go ahead and make something called shirt folds mask. And on this one, we're going to do painting. OM dash. And let's turn on symmetry for this one. It doesn't reach all the way there. Okay. All right. So we're just going to go around and add a few more wrinkles to some spots just to really get the detail we're looking for. The detail. Oops. That's all right if it's not perfect right now. We're going to go back and erase out some stuff, but block out most of it. All right, then we'll go to the erase, turn down the opacity a bit, and maybe not that much. Right about there. Go in. Okay. That looks better. I'd like a few more wrinkles just in that armpit crease. Let's do something like this. A little bit smaller. And let's do just a little blur. Wish we had a better blur tool. Anyway, that looks good. Those are kind of the wrinkles we needed to seal the deal. But we're not done. We're never done. I would like to add a seam here now that I'm thinking about it. There, done. Planer. Shrink it this way, really tiny. Move it over here. And shrink it. Pull it out again. Shirt seams. We want it below the bevel. I guess above the bevel. I would like it here. Does that not work as I expect? I need to make it bigger in order for it to. No, it's just not going to register at all. Shirt seams. Painted there. Well, what if we flipped it? What if we did something like subtract or multiply? Linear dodge. Difference. There's got to be a way. Inverse divide. All right. I want it very thin, as thin as I can. This is supposed to be a shirt seam, and we still have those ones. Perfect. So duplicate. Move to the other side. Set this to world. Then back to object. That looks good. All right. Now we haven't done anything with the tie at all. At all. But it looks where it intersects the shirt looks good. I think we just want to do the buttons and the tie, and then we are done. Actually, we do want some wrinkles on the pants as well. So let's close the shirt, save, Go to the pants. One more fill layer, which will do color and height. Color will be black. We'll turn that off in a little bit, but we'll call this pants folds. And mask. Paint. Perfect. And we just do the same process. Go in, add some wrinkles in a few spots. There's no effect to be seen yet. Boom, boom. Awesome. Why is that happening? Nothing's happening because I have that on. I'm in the erase tool. Something like that. There, and then we'll want maybe some sort of wrinkle. I don't like that one. Not at all. Something like that. There. There. A little bit there. And then we'll turn this really low. Go out a ways, and then just do some slight wrinkles, just kind of like over everything. Actually, undo those ones. Go into the erase first. This and lessen impact of some of these because it's a little over the top in some ways. Looks good. All right. Wish I could invert. Each brushstroke. That would be so useful. I guess I could do another paint layer. Do it there. That seems like work. I could definitely do that. All right, so that looks pretty good. Let's go in and erase some of the wrinkles we don't want. And awesome. Those look good. Last but not least, we want to go back to here, back to the brush. Oh, and the dash. Go to the bottom ones here. These are very useful as like seams. No, too much. Okay. Onwards and upwards. Outfit looks good. Let's move on to the coat, because there's a lot more to do there. Or, take it back, buttons. Buttons and tie. I totally said I would do that, and then I didn't do anything for them. So, vest. We want to go to vest buttons, and in the buttons we'll add a layer. We'll do color and height, and we'll mask it, and then we'll add a fill in here, and we're just going to be kind of straightforward with this. Do the vest pattern on the button right there. Then we can do height, lower the height, that, and then make it dark. And I think we'll just want to add a sharp edge to the sides there. All right, buttons have got an interesting pattern. Now for the tie. Tie here, we're just going to use a fabric. This one will do quite well. Tile it up right about there. Take this color. We'll do the opposite, basically. Really dark. Okay, we did that. Now we want the shadows. Shadows. This overlay. Looks so glossy still. Okay. And here, this will be tie shadow. We add a mask. We add a white mask. We do a filter. And that we select the top. Oh, It's not where I think it is. This spot right here. Where is that? It's here. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Mm-hmm. I think we just want to tile this a little bit more. Maybe make the variation a little bit less. Looking good. Looking good. All right, let's turn our attention now to the coat. Um, so the other overcoats, basically, it's its own thing. But they do all share a layer. All right, there we go. Hmm. This doesn't feel dark enough, does it? But it is dark. It's just too. It's just too shiny. Looks better. All right. Excuse me. Make another layer. Color. This will be overcoat shadow. And of course, we mask it. Add a fill. And here we'll set this to overlay. And make it very dark. And in the fill, add a gradient. This, no repeat. Make sure it's set to linear dodge as well for when we duplicate it. And now we'll add it here to the whole of the coat. So from the bottom up, we're doing a gradient. Definitely think there should be one like right there. So maybe at like 50%. So noticeable, but not pure black. Duplicate it. Now we'll do the arms of the coat, which are right here. And then one, we're going to change the balance. We're going to move it up a ways. Set it also to 50. Right about there or so. All right. Then for the curve shadow, it is really strong right here. Just want to kind of lessen that a little bit. All right. Back to the overcoat shadow layer with our fills. Just continue duplicating and finding good spots to add it. Definitely around this here. In fact, we might want to just paint that. Merry Christmas! Welcome, Big Poop. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're having a good day so far. Definitely want to paint in there too. All right, so we will make a paint layer. And let's get in there and start painting. Where's the collar? There. Nice, that looks good actually. Let's keep painting. Do a bit right here. Turn up that opacity. Bam, bam. Right there, so a little bit lower. Bada boom. It's popping out those details. Popping them out. You've been streaming for about an hour with no views. How can we just randomly look at chat right after I send a message and instantly respond every single day? I'm powerful like that. Powerful. I'm a god. I don't know. I guess I'm just. I can see it right out of the corner of my eye, so definitely feel like visually I'm prepared for it. Scrapping making jewelry, scrapping it. You just started. Drop shipping is your goal. That's fair. There's certainly a lot that goes into any form of production. Scrapping it because it's way too hard and I would need professionals to do it. Yeah, most likely you would absolutely be teaming up with even just on the manufacturing level, you would need people with expertise to really assist you. But it's good to know. I mean, you did your research. That's always a win. Let's change the display settings. It's really hard to see what I'm looking at here. That's too much. It's not nice. I need something. Oh, that'll work. Because, like, let's say X onto your website for manufacturing to get stuff done in sheet metal, you need SVG format, which Blender does, but for the website to accept SVG, which is a 2D image. You need the website owners to give you permission. That's literally every website I checked out. I'm not sure what that means. 2D image. So it's like, oh, they just have to give you the okay on manufacturing. Is that what you're saying? Like, they have to be like, yes, we'll manufacture for you. You know, okay to manufacture anything, but for sheet metal, you need to message them privately and tell them, like, can I have permission to get stuff in sheet metal? Interesting. Brother. You know, okay to manufacture. Gotcha. I mean, I suppose that makes sense, right? It's just kind of what they do. They just have to make sure that they're taking on work that they can actually do, or, you know, stuff like that. Well, if you're ever looking at stuff like that again, you can always look for local machine shops as well. Um, if you're ever just investigating that direction in the future. Oh, which might be easier just to like work with someone. You could go to their shop and be like, I want this. And they go, yay, no, yes, no, whatever. Buttons. Actually, we'll do this. Overcoat leather. Actually, is the overcoat itself like a leather material? I can't really tell. I don't think so. All right, that looks good. Go overcoat folds. And we just turn it on black. Just all right. We'll do red this time. Just black's fine. Just to see it. And then we mask it. In the mask we add a paint. In the paint we go to here. Poem dash. Bada boom. Yes. Look at that. Wrinkles. Wrinkles. Give them to me. Actually, for these ones, we'll kind of rotate them so they're this way. Yeah, that looks good, actually. I should do that more often. There. Let's turn off the color. Just have the wrinklage. This looks good. I feel that I'm making very good progress on the character. And let's do a very large wrinkle. All right. Then we'll go to these kind of pressed wrinkles here. Bada boom. We should put this. We'll just have to paint out the leather sections a little bit later. I might have to set this to UV texture. Go in and do it here instead. I don't like those ones. Softer. Smaller. It's not coming out well. There's that. Just too thin. Eh, that's all right. Let's try one of these other ones then. Something like this. Oh, my favorite ones. It's still just too thin, I think. Back to tangent wrap object. Oh, all right. That looks sufficiently wrinkled up there. Let's do a little bit more down here, just to give it that visual variation. Otherwise, it's going to look too samey. The buttons. The buttons. We need it just they're too sharp is the problem. It's like if it was just blurred a bit more, it would look perfect. But they just are a little too sharp most of the time. Like they need a nice soft version of all of these. Like what I think I'm going to do is go in to Photoshop on all of these and just make a super blurred set of a few of them. It's just like they're almost there. They just need a bit of work. Honestly, just a little bit of work. Okay. Does it look sufficiently weathered? Looking good. I think we will add just a bit of color. Not that much. Like, oh, it's kind of nice that way. That certainly adds some variation. Oh, okay. And just lower it a little bit, that color. Right about there. Take a sip. Oh. All right. Now for the buttons, put them back up here. Go to height, set it to place. Go to normal, set it to place. Oh, we also need that little spot to be leather as well. Right here. I thought I had the leather also. Replace and replace. So why is it still inheriting the fabric? Ran into this before. What was it? There we go. Okay. Save. Now for our leather, be nice to have the edges highlighted because that's what it looks like has happened on the drawing. Is that the all the edges? Oh, it looks like the. Oh, perfect. That'd be cool. This whole section up here is also leather. Very cool. That gives it the variation it really needed. Boom. Okay, perfect. Then we'll go into here. Overcoat leather, we're going to add an anchor point to. And here we'll call this overcoat leather highlight. Mask, add a generator. The generator, we're going to do the metal edge wear. And then we will add fill. In the fill, we put that anchor point we just made, and we set it to either subtract or multiply. Multiply. There we go. Okay, so now it's only on there. And now we'll just play around. Wear level. Grunge amount, 0. Edge smoothness. Yes, that's what we want to turn up. Okay, something like that. Use triplanar. Doesn't matter. Wear contrast. Turn that up. Wear level. Also turn up. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. That's almost giving us what we want. A little bit of grunge just to make those wear marks a little bit nicer. Now we turn up the contrast right about there, and I think that's all we can really do. Now it's not white on the image, it's more of a gray. And why don't we try something like overlay? Linear dodge would definitely be a lot. Yeah, more of a gray. We could also add some height. How about some roughness instead? Keep it low. That's probably about all we can do. But it does give it that breakup it needs. All right. Now for the leather itself, we also want to add in a paint layer because there's one or two little spots that exist that I have not added. So go here, alpha shape. Let's do a brick. Something like right there. Bada boom, and it goes like that. Why wouldn't that work? Should it be like this? No. Overcoat leather. Clearly it's affecting it, but it's not. I don't understand. That should work. That should work. Interesting. Okay. I don't understand. What's happening there? I don't get why the VRC Discord looks at my application form thingy, but just doesn't respond. I think they have a queue. So they have the, they've seen yours, seen that you've applied, but they review in order of application. Why can't I paint here? No, I'm using full color values. Oh, the opacity. God damn it. Okay. I was like, what is happening? All right, so there's like a little pocket here. Turn on follow path. that, but then we want to go to the leather. I'm going to go to the height, and we do want to where is the height? Parameters. That's the metallic. Oh, here it is. Okay, so we need to make one more layer. It's just height. Push it up and call this overcoat leather height. Mask, fill, overcoat. And yeah, push it out. There we go. Perfect. And then on the overcoat leather, I wish it would take into account that pocket, but I don't think it will. That's okay. That looks pretty good. What else? There's a little intersection there. I'll have to watch out for that. Take a sip of Red Bull. Fancy black coat, indeed. Indeed. Welcome, Dark Rail. Good morning. Or good afternoon. For me, it's morning. Just woke up from a nap, so morning is good enough. It's 5 p.m. Evening, then. This little, what would we call this? Button slots? Buttonholes? Buttonholes. And we'll go ahead and use a, what is it called? Oh, yeah, here we go. Sharp shape circular squeeze. We squeeze it a bunch. All right, here about. Bam. Bam. Should go right here. Bam. Bam. Hello? Folds, buttons. Oh, it's because I have follow path on. That always messes it up. And smoothing. There we go. All right, so now we can do uno, dos, and tres. It's like a little bit smaller. Uno, dos, tres. Like that. Queen Elizabeth died yesterday. I heard. That's a bummer. She was definitely pretty old. An old lady. That are you bummed out about that, or seems like some people are a little too excited she died and other people are quite upset? And some sort of height anisotropy would be good. We'll leave it. Good enough. Hey, that looks pretty darn good if I say so myself. If I say so myself. Ugh. And I say so. I just want to get a little, just um, like a nicer transition here. So for the leather, we added the height there, but we need an edge one as well. So we'll do this. Color, height. Height is low. And we'll call this overcoat leather edge height. We'll probably do a few things with this, but for now, mask, fill, anchor point, overcoat leather. The leather should actually include a lot of that in there. So we go to here, grab the paint tool, go to this here. I don't like that one. So just leave it like that. You know what? I take it back. It's too shiny. Okay. So, kind of cool. Alternate colors. And then we go here. Alternate leather edge height. We add a filter. My favorite filter, the bevel filter. I let it load because it's lagging. Ooh, it's really laggy. Let's turn off some of these other layers just so it's a little less. With why is it so laggy? Can't even select it. All right, so let's undo that. Yeah, it does. Unfortunately, the texturing really fills up my RAM. I need to get more RAM for my computer. So we'll do a white mask instead. And then we'll add that fill, anchor point, overcoat. But we want to set it to subtract instead. And then we add the filter bevel. I think it's working here. It won't actually work because, okay, so this is something I have to paint in. Okay. So we do that. We go to paint. Okay. So this is something that needs to be painted in because these don't touch. They're separate islands. How much you got? I think I have 32 or something like that. A decent amount, but I think just with all the work I do, I've got to upgrade. Okay, that looks good. Now we want one more layer. This will just focus on the roughness, but we'll add color so we know where it is. This will be the overcoat, leather edge. Honestly, I think 16 at this point is min. 32 recommended. Yeah, for your stuff, 64 is probably what you want. I think I have to. It's just with streaming and stuff, and it's necessary. Necessary. Now we're just targeting the edges. Good. And then we can lower this a little bit so it's just right there. So then all we want to do is take the roughness, lower it, just so it's not as sharp in certain points. Then we paint and we'll mask out our mask at the edges. All right. Then I think we will add the color back, make it black. Add the color back, make it black. Now we have a nice little transition here. I like it. We can in fact go here as well. Add the color back. Add the color back. Oh yeah, look at that. Now it feels like it's actually touching. Either that or literally a dedicated streaming PC, but or that might be overkill. Fingers crossed I can do that someday. But yeah, that may be a little bit much for what I need right now. Long term goals. Hickory dickory dock, the mouse went up the clock. So many people are mocking the queen's dying. It's so funny. Yeah, I think It's become quite the meme on it in its own right, which I'm not here to. It's definitely a what's the word? Dark humor, you know. It's to be expected. Considering how close some of the stuff is with troubles in India, it's to be expected. Absolutely. Did I? No. Wait. Oh, I made the whole suit black. What? Oh, I just turned off the other layers. That's right. Never mind. Everything's good. That's too much. Oh, that's perfect. Look at that. That looks so good. Then we want to do that. This section, I think. No. Where's this? Right here. Okay, it's over here. All right. We're getting very close to finished with the jacket. I want to do one major effect, which are the seams. So make a layer. I'm going to do this one towards the bottom. We'll call it overcoat seams. Coarse color. I want height for this one. And like this. And we add in a white mask. We mask everything here. Then, I didn't get as much stuff as I thought. Everything. Then we filter bevel. This allows us to create a seam along the mesh lines, but it's also very useful for some of these other spots. Beautiful. Right here is where I mostly wanted it. There. Hey, Radcat, welcome. I never made that many layers in Substance Lol. I should, but I don't. It gets easier once you understand anchor points. Then you're not just like making a crazy like everything's it's easier to build off of every layer. You're not like doing every layer from scratch every time. But this is looking pretty darn good. Excuse me. I think we're almost done. Almost. How's your exporting affair going? Have you had any further success? Your fur experiment? For experiment? I think that is it for the coat. Let's turn on all the other layers too. Yay, he's looking good. But we do want to go to the other layers and turn off the ambient occlusion because ambient occlusion sucks and it messes things up. It messes things up. It's just too strong. Need to go back and watch your VOD for making clothing. Oh yeah, please do. Everything I start from is a subdivided cube with a mirror mod. First thing, I ran into some problem with getting fur to export out or keep blend shapes. I think I'm going to table it for now and try it again later. That's fair. That's fair. That was definitely a challenging thing to take on. So I applaud you for that. Do one of these darker skin tones. Here, it's a little gray. I feel like I got it 90% there. Maybe I'll have Revelation while working on something different. That's fair. Do that. Mask. Filter. Curvature. No, we wanted a generator. Generator. Curve. Curvature. Curvature. Now, just get some nice variation along the body. I want to change the color a little bit, a little more red. Red. Kind of color. Naked. Hello, Officer Mark. Bold of you to have nipples. Twitch can be finicky about nips. Well, I won't tell them that the nips also jiggle, so that may be too much for them. It looks kind of sallow. Not quite what we want. Drink water! Have a Red Bull and water. Hey, if I get banned, I'll become Twitch famous. That's how it works, right? Please not add jiggle physics to my avatar. No, the bones are there, but they can be turned off or on. It's just a default avatar that I'm using. So feels like a male model. Just tell them that even if not true, they will be. Like, oh, okay. I mean, I've worked on some very voluptuous characters, and so far that's fine. I think that's because I'm in the art category. I'm not doing it to be sexy or like risque. I mean, there are some streams. There are some streams out there that I even anything I did here would not compete. Well, I wish you well at school today, Mark. Isn't it really late there? You got school in an hour. You have night classes. Feels like a male model. Just tell them that, even not true. They'll be like, okay. That's fun. I've taken a few night classes over the years. Sometimes it's really nice. Sometimes you're like, I wish I was asleep. You would think that, but I do know some other artists that get banned for not safe work because they were working on nude models. I mean, stay safe. Hey, you heading out right now? Sounds good. See you, Mark. They've gotten better. Just a word of warning. I think it'll be okay though. I hope so. I hope so. Um, yeah, fingers crossed. So far, everything's been fine. I hope it stays that way. But it's fun to stream. I want to make sure I can keep doing so. It also keeps me very productive. So I need to fill, I guess, kind of like that. But that looks pretty good, actually. We just need one going the other direction, too. So if I add an anchor point, let's call this uh, braids, anchor point, and then immediately add it back, the fill, anchor point braid, and we will say invert. And then multiply or subtract. It should be multiply. Da, 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 da. It would be so in Twitch style to ban you for an avatar that's not even sexual. Like what happened in their situations, they just angered the community, got reported. But that's speculations. I just want to keep seeing your cool art. Well, thank you. If I can't stream on Twitch, I'll be streaming somewhere else. So definitely just keep. I would make sure everyone knew where I was, how to stay in touch, and all of that jazz. But I appreciate you saying that. I certainly want to keep streaming. Is this the best way to do it? Weave angle. Weave angle. I mean, it looks pretty good. Maybe just too tiled. So I need to download Blender 3.3. Don't break my add-ons. Don't break my add-ons. Good luck. Definitely always a chance. It seems like it's gotten better. In the past, it was like every version would break the add-ons, but seems to be better. Seems to be. Well, why? Oh, they're inverted. That's why it looks so weird sometimes. Okay. Remember the dark times. one of my chatters that comes on every now and then is like committed to using one of the like 2.7 or something before the like big change on Blender. I was like, man, that takes some dedication. We're gonna redo these braids. I'm not liking how they're coming out. Redo that. I mean, to each their own, but that's certainly a challenge. Before 2.8 was so crazy, I hated the UI. let's just do a black and white version for right now, so I understand what's going on here. Just black and white, so I can actually see. So I believe this is what I want. Right? This is basically the pattern now. Didn't use Blender till 2.8. I was like, okay, Maya just looks better, feels better. It's understandable. 2.8 comes out and says, hold my beer. I really think that Blender is in such a good position right now. Very, very excited to see how it continues to grow, because I think that this is just the beginning. Just the beginning. The LCS support is what really gave them new ground. The studios needed to start using it in their pipeline. Agreed. Make sure everything was hunky dory. I don't think this is what I want to be using. The more I play around with it, the less I like it. So let's do alpha or pattern. These are all the gradients. Oh, sorry to yawn so much. Uh, 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 this is like close, but still not what I need. Oh. Hmm. Hmm. It still doesn't look right. Okay. So I need some sort of tiling braid pattern texture. What can I find? What can I find? Yeah, like that. I guess searching weave would actually be better. Weave. Aha. Not quite. That's not bad. This one could work. Doof. Hard to tell. Could you double it and offset it so you had different shades? I think that's possible. Excuse me. Um, oh, I'm getting sleepy. Braid. So there are. No, you're fine. I also feel the need of caffeine right now. But there's some stuff on the substance source that might work. Well, okay. Aluminum braided cable. That looks a little much. Copper braided cable. Just a little too sharp. Braided PVC flooring. Oh. Oh. This is quite usable. I don't think. All right, I'll come back to the hair. Kind of brain dead on that one. Exactly what we'll be doing for that. So I'll save that for after lunch when I have brain power again. Um, all right. May want to bring in a subdivided version just to bake the body, just some better normals for the body. Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to duplicate the body, save it, rename this one. So it'll be dark rail body, high poly, and we'll go here, subdivision surface, maybe like twice, save, and file, export, fbooks, subspace v2, and just underscore HP. Export, save. It's going to take a little bit. So many bots on Twitter now. What the heck? All right. Painter. We go edit. We've now saved that one. And we want to bake mesh maps for just the body. And we'll use high definition mesh. This one, I want to redo the bake mesh maps for everything. Yeah. I'll have to go back and redo that. That's okay. For now, 4K. Save. Followed a bunch of artists. I'm not surprised. Probably with the what it's like, a bunch of AI art comes on to Twitter. Might as well use some AI followers. 12 new followers. I've been getting very consistent, like e-girl followers, which is kind of funny. All right, look at those normals. I'm weird, or it is weird. I know what you mean. Nice normals. Oh, thank you. I'll have to clean up the mouth a little ways. Probably the teeth and mouth and that brow. What would be the best way to do that? There's got to be a better way than changing the base one. If I just made here a body normal override and we just did normal and I went replace. Oh, normal, replace. Not changing anything. Inverse detail. Value. Ow. Disable. All right, I can go blow my nose. Red Bull Dub. Okay. So for our character, we want to get rid of this. It's hard to see, but basically it's easy to see here, but the normals are basically fucked for anything that intersects. It gets too close together. Which is why I usually avoid baking normals because it does shit like this. and it's annoying. Um, Maybe I'll just try to redo it. Bake mesh maps. Seeing a chunk here. That will be easier to paint out than the creases. But of course, the mouth will still have problems. That is better. And it's just a little spot on the hand now. Hey, all right, that worked. Save. Oh, it's really saving. I was unsure a bit on what to. So I made that high polygon version. So this is much higher poly than my other version. So you kind of see the difference in quality here. So this one's super high poly. This one's not as high poly. So I can take this information and bake it into the texture. So now all these crisp, high poly details are baked into the texture. But it was having problems with. Correct. Um, but it was having some trouble. So high poly to low poly baking is nice, useful, but pretty prone to errors. Um, and you can see it a little bit. Very hard to see, but there's like a little crease on the lips, basically. Basically, anything that's too close together, it will mess up on. So there's probably some cleanup that will be needed. All right. Let's go ahead and make some fleshy details. Rockman. But now he's got skin detailed man. Kind of reminds me of the Protoss. Yeah, that's probably how they textured them. I've done that. Not sure why it baffled me. I guess I haven't done it in a while because most of my work has been so reliant on the shading. I don't do much normal details. It's not necessary. Um, you can do the you can approach it in whatever way you prefer. Um, there's a lot of freedom in that, because I used to do much more high poly baking all the time, but then I found that it just was so inconsistent sometimes that I could spend like all day trying to figure it out, and I just wouldn't get the results I wanted. So I've kind of like gone away from baking normals. Um, so we'll seam there. We'll go ahead and switch this height to um, triplanar. Yeah, it's still there because it's not from that. It is from the body overlay. No, but it looks a lot better. It does. All right, so we're heading a good direction. Now we want to add some rosy highlights to a few things. So I'll call this the flush layer, and it'll be pink, like that, or just red, and we'll mask it. We'll add paint, and then we'll go to our symmetry tool. I don't think we need the symmetry tool, actually. So yeah, everything should show up like that. Set this to 5, and then just paint in some pink in a few spots. So usually you see a lot of pink around the nose. Just a little bit more. There we go. That. And then definitely on the lips. We'll just go crazy with it and then paint out. uh, we'll go the other way, actually. Bam, 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 bam. There's a fly in my room. Fuck. I hate that. Okay. Me too. I yell at my cats to catch it. Do they? No. They really should. What am I paying them for? Nothing. Okay, that might be a little bit much relative to what the client would want. I'll just scale it back a little ways. But it will look more realistic. Now it looks like a human. a human. Or alive. That's really what I'm trying to say. Looks like a cyclops. All right. Just a little rosy. That's too much. Fade it out a little. It's looking great. I'm going to get started on routine and start my work as well, but I'll be lurking. Sounds good, Red Cat. Thanks for coming by this morning. Lurk! I don't have a setup for it, so I just have to say it. I just yell it really loudly. I should probably do that at some point. Probably. Probably. Right. So now we do have one other layer to make, which is the we call it mascara, eyelash material. Oops. Okay, and then we're going to go along that and just kind of cut it in half. Boom. Let's make sure we can see the wireframe, make it a little bit easier to go along. Up one. There's an intersection there. I will have to tweak the mesh a little. I wish instead of filling in the polygon, it like ran a brush along the polygon. That would be a little bit nicer. Do I want to fill in this crease here? Like that. That is nice. All right, first thing we need to do before we make any more changes is go here, tab. Actually, let's make sure to hide that. Tab. Let's make sure that the intersection is gone. We actually need to make the eyelash itself. Right now we're just blocking out the mascara, but we will need to make an eyelash too. Okay, that's better. All right. It's looking pretty good. I'm pleased. Um, just gonna switch to, let's turn off the other, well, not the eye. Let's turn off the other ones and briefly switch it to 4K. Make sure I'm saving. Triple saving before I do this. Sometimes it crashes. All right, that looks really good. It looks like a creature. Um, but I'd like to make the lips more detailed. And paint out some of the skin intensity. Switch it to 6. Around there. All right. I like that. All right. Then I'm going to make, we'll call this, what is this? What layer is this? This is the skin bum. Make another layer. We'll call this lips. Should just lips rough. As we're just gonna wait. So we'll just do that on a paint layer. Yeah. Call it details. And we'll add one paint layer. This paint. And I'll call this lips. Then we'll go to just height. Because that will let me put everything in one layer. I could do lips, the roughness on one, and then the. Yeah, I like that a lot. I think that is the right way to go about it. Probably something I'll use a lot in the future. Because a lot of times I just, Radcat was saying earlier how it's like, oh, that's a complicated setup. It's like, what is the best way to organize things in Substance Painter? It really doesn't have a lot of nice ways besides just putting a bunch of layers on top of each other. Until you realize you can layer into each one a bunch of stuff, and then it's a little bit nicer, but just a little. I wouldn't say a ton. It's just slightly better. There's got to be a better one for this, like a crease. Oh, 10, please. God damn it. I keep clicking the button. Apparently not enough, though. All right, that's pretty subtle, but it's there. Okay, now let's do another paint layer. And we'll call this nose. Nose. And we'll do roughness, very low, color, black. We really should add ambient occlusion to this one. And we're going to go in, paint in the nose. All right. Made some nostril. All right. It is 11:34, so we are getting close to the end of the morning session. We're also getting very close to being done with the texturing, at least in substance, and then we'll get the model into Unity and get all those shaders set up. Which should be a lot of fun, because now I've learned enough that I can really... I'll be able to combine everything into one mesh, because I know how best to do everything now, which is exciting. But I am going to go to the restroom really quick. Be right back. All right. All right. So another 15 minutes, and then I'm going to go work out. And then we'll come back and do more stuff. Um, it's for the body. I think if we have this body overlay, we can add one more fill layer. I'd love to see maybe the generator. Generator. They have a thickness one. Right. Oh, well, I can use a fill anyway. Fill. Thick body. Thick body. Linear dodge. I want to invert this, so we'll put it down here. Add a filter. Hopefully this works right. Maybe also at levels. So we can actually see what's going on. Nothing seems to be happening. All right. So that was the overlay there. Maybe we need it on its own layer. Mask. Fill. Here we want red. And go to the fill and we find this. Then filter. Invert. Okay. Because it is kind of actually how bodies work. Funny. You know, thinner spots do get more blood. So this is too much though, of course. So let's just lower it to right about there or so. And I think we'll want to paint out the face because we've already added the face. Blood feast. Delicious blood. There we go. Yeah. Just some nice coloration. There. Still a little bit less though. Right around there, I think. Just that little bit of hue. Make it feel like a body. A body. But yeah, any feedback on the body at this time? Because if there's any textural changes to be made, this would be the time. And I feel like the body is the only thing that's was kind of in a gray area on what exactly it would look like, just because all the reference was for the clothes for the most part. Excuse me. Don't think so, honestly, except for like the color of the skin. But I expect that to be the last thing you fix. In which way? So I've been painting the skin, but as for the color of the skin, So if I go here, this is a more accurate sampling of the skin color because we are looking at something where there's light being put on top of it. But if I sample the body directly, oh, I guess, yeah, is a bit brighter. So this would probably be more accurate then. Gray ash. Okay, okay. Well, then, yeah, that's good. Okay, I wasn't sure if that was the case. Sometimes paintings just come out a little grayer. Yeah. All right, perfect. Something more like this then. So, like a Cyclops, a more classic Cyclops. Gotcha. Oh. Doesn't look very circular. Gotcha. So this is a sample directly of. I mean, it's totally up to you, whatever you'd prefer. But I am sampling his face directly from the image. So if you want him to be grayer, so right now he's kind of bright, right? He's very pale. But this is definitely like a gray skin color. But I have painted on some red and pinks colors, um, just because that will make a character feel a little bit more. There should be some darkness in those spots anyway, just to make the character feel a little more alive. Um, but we can always tweak once we're in Unity and stuff. The thought was a bit like gray alien kind of skin tone. Okay, well, we'll have to judge that once the character is in Unity, I think. It's going to be a little hard to tell when we're in this view. All right. Now we do the base of the toes. Perfect. All right, all right, all right. So now we've done that. I wonder. If I make an anchor point here, can I use it here? No, it'd have to be up above. Okay, but we do want to use this one. Nails, interior, shadow. Okay, this is the last step I'll take before we get into lunchtime. That. Then all we want to do is set this to overlay. So it picks up some of that base color and then just kind of lessen it a bit. We don't want it too much, just enough. Something like that. Then for the nails themselves, I'd like to just lower the height. Or what if we did it with this one? A little bit like that. Not bad. All right. It is 12. I'm going to go ahead and take a break. And we'll be back. Lunch break. Yeah, things are going well. We got some nice nails in now, toenails too. And we want to make the body grayer, but I'm going to have to wait till we're in Unity to really figure that one out. And then we also need the braids done and the teeth done and then the eyeball. The eye will also mostly be work to do in Unity, but texturing's really getting there. I'm really liking how it's all coming together. It feels very close to the reference. Anyway, thank you all for hanging out with me this morning. It was an eventful morning. We got Radcat coming by, Dark Rail. We had Mark and Big Poop, of course, coming by. So I thank you all for joining me. That's looking good. Thank you, Dark Rail. It's good to hear. I'm very excited to put the finishing touches on this character. It's slowly or quickly converging to the finished product. Anyway, I will see you all in an hour and a half to 2 hours. So look forward to it. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day in the meantime. Bye. Bye, everyone.